Okay, Oak Rovers, this is a video that's going to help you with Math Standard 7.4.3.2 in your MCA III Test Prep packet. The standard reads like this. Calculate probability as a fraction of sample space or as a fraction of area. Express probabilities as percents, decimals, and fractions. And this is in the strand Data Analysis and Probability. Number one looks like this. It says Kathy pulls one block from the box. And if you look at the box, there are, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 blocks in that box. And it says, what's the probability that will be black? So I always write my probability of black. I need to write it like that. I get used to writing it like that. The P means probability, and inside the parentheses, black, and that's the outcome that I'm looking for. So what's the probability of getting a black cube? So what I have to do is count the number of black cubes. If I look at it, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5 that are black out of how many outcomes are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the probability that it's black is 5 out of 10, which I can reduce to 1/2. Okay? Next problem. What is the probability that it will be white? So if I look at it, now it's probably hard to see in this video, but this one's kind of shaded gray. That's really not white. And so is this one up here. That's shaded gray. So the number of white blocks that I have are 1, 2, 3. So the probability that it's going to be white is going to be 3 that are white out of 10 total. And I'm just going to leave it like that. In this test, I'd get used to just reducing it to the lowest terms as often as you can. So I just try and reduce that. The first one I reduced from 5/10 to 1/2. This one, 3/10, 3 is a prime number and it doesn't divide 10. So that's as lowest terms I can get for that problem. Okay? Let's go on to number 2 and see what we can do with this one. Number 2 says this. Steve made 24 out of 36 three-pointers at basketball practice. What is the experimental probability that Steve will make a three-point shot during tonight's basketball game? Now, they're using experimental probability. So the experiment was him shooting three-pointers at basketball practice, and he made 24 out of 36 in his experiment. Okay? So if you look at this, none of these answers have 36 in the denominator, so I'm going to probably have to reduce it. So he made 24 that he made out of a total of 36. And what I have to do now is I have to reduce that to lowest terms. So I have to find a number that divides both 24 and 36. So if I do that, I know they're both even, so I'll divide them both by 2. So if I divide both numbers by 2, I end up getting 12 over 18. And again, I can divide both of those numbers by 2, because they're both even again, and I get 6 out of 9. And then I can divide both of those by, I still don't have 6 over 9 there, so I can divide both of those numbers. What divides? Well, 2 doesn't divide 9, so I have to find a different number that divides them both. And 3 goes into both 6 and 9, so I'll divide them both by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So my answer is going to be 2/3. So I find 2/3, and I'll circle C. It's really important that you take your time with these and make sure you try and do the best you can on them. Okay, next problem, number 3. Lisa randomly pulls one marble out of a sack. What is the probability that the marble is not white? So the first thing I have to do is count how many marbles there are all together. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So there's 15 total marbles in that area, and I've got to count how many of them are white. So if I look at it carefully, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are white. So 5 out of 15 are white. And then let's reduce it. Since they both end in a 5, I can divide them both by 5. Numbers that end in 5 or 0 are divisible by 5. So I can divide them by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So it's going to be 1/3 for that one. Okay, let's go on to the next side, the back side of this. So number 58, we're going to slide it up here. We're going to do number 4. Okay, number 4 says this. Nick has a bag of fruit that contains 8 apples, 4 oranges, and 3 pears. Which of the fruit has a 1 in 5 probability of being picked? So let's try and find out how many total fruit he has in that bag first. So it's 8 plus 4 plus 3. If I add those all up, I get 3 and 4 is 7 and 8 is 15 total. Okay? So I need to figure out which one is 1 and 5. Well, there's 8 apples out of 15, so 8 out of 15. And there's no number that reduces 8. There's no numbers that reduce both 8 and 15, so the probability of apples is just going to be 8 out of 15, and I can't reduce it anymore. The next one is oranges. So the probability of an orange is, and there's 4 oranges, so it's 4 out of 15. And 4, the only numbers that divide 4 are 2 and 4 and 1. And 15, that neither of those numbers divide 15. So that's as lowest terms as you can get for that. The last one is pairs. So let's try pairs. The probability of a pair is going to be 3 out of 15. And 3 divides both of those. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So it's 1/5, which is a probability of 1 in 5. 1 in 5 is the same as 1 out of 5. So it's going to be pairs. So I find the pair, and it's letter A. Okay, let's go on to number 5. There are 30 jelly beans in a bag. Of these, 5 are red, 6 yellow, 5 black, 3 orange, 4 green, and 7 purple. If Leona selects 1 jelly bean from the bag, what is the probability that it will be black? Okay, well, I know my probability has to be between 0 and 1, so that can rule out number 5. I can rule out 5 right away, because probabilities are always between 0 to 1. Remember, 0 means that there's no chance or it's impossible for it to happen, and 1, if something has a probability of 1, that means it's certain to happen. Okay, so let's check this out. First of all, what I have to do is add up all the different jelly beans, all the different colors that I have. So I have 5 plus 6 plus 5 plus 3 plus 4 plus 7. Okay, so let's add up all the different jelly beans. 7 and 4 is 11. 11 and 3 is 14. 14 and 5 is 19. 19 and 6 is 25. 25 and 5 is 30. So I have 30 total jelly beans in that bag. And I want to find out the probability it will be black. 5 of them were black, so it's 5 out of 30. Okay? Well, let's look at these different choices. 5 out of 30 is not the same as 30%. It's a little bit different than 30%. 5 out of 30 is actually 1 out of 6, which is about 16%. So 30% is not right. 5 out of 30 is not 2.2% either. So 5 out of 30 is my best answer for that. So I'm just going to leave that as 5 over 30. Okay, let's go on to number 6. Number 6 reads like this. 9 balls were numbered 1 through 9. What's the probability of picking a ball with an even number on it? So there's 9 different balls. The ones that have even are going to be 2, 4, 6, and 8. So there's 4 total out of 9. So I know that 4 out of 9 is the fraction that I'm looking for. And I want to know what percent that is. Well, 4 out of 9 is not 50%. So I can cross that out. 4 out of 8 is 50%, or 5 out of 10. But 4 out of 9 is not 50%, so I can know that's not right. And 4 out of 9 is less than 50%, so I know I can cross off that one too. I can eliminate that choice. 1% is what means 1 per 100, or 1 out of 100. That's what 1% is, and that doesn't make sense either. So I'm going to cross out 1%, and actually the answer for this is 44.4, and it's actually repeating percent. So that one is going to be letter A for that problem. Okay, let's go on to number 7. Number 7 talks about Ruby. Ruby has 4 red hats and 6 blue hats. If she picks one at random, what's the probability that she will pick her blue hat? So I know that she has a total of 4 red and 6 blue. So she has a total of 10 total hats, and she wants to find the probability that it'll be blue. So the probability of blue, I spelled blue incorrectly there. I don't know what I was spelling there. Kind of lost that a little bit. So blue, probability of blue is going to be 6 out of 10 total. And I can divide them both by 2, and I get 3 out of 5, which is the same as 3 and 5. 3 in 5 and 3 out of 5 mean the exact same thing. So that answer is going to be 3 in 5. Then we'll do the last one here. We'll do this last one, number 8. What is the probability of getting a 6 when rolling a fair number cube one time? Well, there's 6 different outcomes. There's 6 different outcomes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 when I roll one number cube. And the probability of getting a 6 is just going to be 1 out of 6. Okay? Now 1 out of 6. I know that 1 out of 4 is the same as 25%. And this is 1 out of 6. So I can cross off 1/4. 20%, I know I can reduce that to, if I divide both of these by 20, 20 divided by 20 is 1, 100 divided by 20 is 5, so that's 1/5. I know that one's not right either. And so it's one of the top two. Now 25% is 1/4, and half of that, half of 25%, if I take 25% and I divide it by 2, I get 12.5%. Because that's 25 divided by 2. Now, and that's equal to 1/4, 1 out of 4. Well, if I divide 1/4 in half, if I take 1/4 and divide it by 2, so if I have 1/4 divided by 2, that's the same thing as 1/4 times 1/2. And remember, the multiplying fractions, you just multiply the top and you multiply the bottom. 1 times 1 is 1, 4 times 2 is 8. So 12.5% is really 1/8. So that one crosses off. So it's really 16.7%. And another way I can think of that, I know that 1/3 is really 33%. And if I divide 33 and a half, I get about 16.5. But it's 0.3 repeating, so it's going to end up being 16.7%. And that is how you do that part 7.4.3.2.